A man can love many women. He can admire their beauty, enjoy their company, respect their minds, and even build a comfortable life with them. Love, in its common form, is a beautiful and noble partnership between two egos. It is a contract of mutual care, a companionship. But there is another, rarer and almost mythical state of connection. It is a state that transcends partnership and enters the realm of the sacred. It is called devotion. Devotion is not love. It is a force of a completely different order. It is a state of profound soul-level reverence. It is the feeling that makes a man's ego, his conscious, controlling mind, go quiet in a woman's presence. It is the feeling that inspires the powerful archetypal image that our title suggests. The feeling that makes a man, on a psychological level, fall to his knees. Let us be absolutely clear. This is not about submission. It is not an act of weakness on his part, nor an act of domination on hers. His falling to his knees is not a physical act, but a psychological and spiritual one. It is the ultimate act of respect. It is the ego's involuntary surrender in the face of a power it recognizes as greater, more profound and more real than itself. It is the soul's gasp of recognition when it encounters not just another woman, but a living, breathing force of nature. So what is it? What is this one quality that can inspire such a rare and profound state of devotion? It is not your beauty, it is not your kindness, it is not your success. Many women possess these qualities, and while they may be loved, they are not revered in this way. The one quality is a state of being, an energetic signature, an alignment with a power so deep and so authentic that it rewrites the rules of attraction. This video will reveal that one feminine quality. We will journey into the deep psychology of the masculine soul to understand why this quality bypasses his conscious mind and speaks directly to his deepest archetypal longings. You will learn that this is not a quality you can perform or a tactic you can learn, but a state of profound inner wholeness that you must embody. This is a lesson in how to stop being a woman a man loves and to become the woman a man is in awe of. So what is this one quality, this profound state of being that inspires not just a man's love, but his soul's devotion? It is not confidence, for many confident women are respected, but not revered. It is not kindness, for many kind women are cherished, but taken for granted. It is not beauty, for beauty can be admired, but it does not, on its own, command the soul. The one quality that makes a man, on a psychological level, fall to his knees is the state of embodied divinity. Let us immediately discard the common, superficial interpretation of this phrase. This is not about a woman who believes she is a literal goddess, perfect and flawless, floating above the messy reality of human life. That is an inflation of the ego. Embodied divinity is the exact opposite. It is not about being perfect. It is about being profoundly and unapologetically whole. It is the state of a woman who has stopped trying to be just one thing. She has ended the civil war within herself. She has stopped trying to be only the light and has bravely integrated her dark. She has stopped trying to live only in her soul and has fully, sensually, and joyfully inhabited her body. She is a living, breathing union of opposites. Think of it this way. The good girl is a woman of pure, unintegrated light. She is all kindness, all accommodation, all softness. She is a beautiful, sunlit field. The wounded, reactive woman is often a woman of pure, unintegrated shadow. She may be all anger, all boundaries, all fierce independence. She is a powerful, stormy sea. The woman of embodied divinity is not the field or the sea. She is the entire planet. She is the woman who has the capacity for the gentle warmth of the sunlit field and the formidable power of the stormy sea. She is not just one weather pattern. She is the entire climate. She has befriended the full, glorious, and sometimes terrifying spectrum of her own feminine essence. Her embodied divinity is built on 4 pillars of integration. Her light. She is not afraid of her own profound capacity for love, for compassion, for nurturing. But her kindness is not the weak, people-pleasing kindness of the good girl. It is the fierce, discerning compassion of a queen, given freely but never offered as a sacrifice of her own well-being. Her shadow. She is not afraid of her own anger, her sacred no, or her capacity for destruction. She understands that her anger is the sacred guardian of her boundaries, and that sometimes a forest fire is necessary for new growth to occur. Her darkness is not a weapon she wields against others. It is the unshakable foundation of her own self-respect. Her body. She is not a disembodied intellect living from the neck up. She is fully, sensually, and joyfully in her own skin. She feels pleasure, she trusts her gut instincts, and she honors the wisdom of her body as a sacred text. She is our wild woman, a force of nature. Her soul. She is anchored to a purpose and a meaning that is bigger than any single relationship. Her soul is her North Star. It is the source of her unshakable peace, her inner knowing. A woman who has integrated these four pillars ceases to be just a person. She becomes a presence. And a man, in her company, feels he is not just relating to a personality, but to a force. He cannot figure her out, because she is not a simple equation to be solved. She is an entire ecosystem to be experienced. And it is this very wholeness, this embodied divinity, that triggers a profound and archetypal response in his own soul. Now that we have defined this one quality of embodied divinity, we must ask the deeper question: why does it have such a profound and almost supernatural effect on the masculine psyche? Why does this specific quality, this state of wholeness, inspire not just attraction, but a feeling of profound reverence? The answer, according to the deep wisdom of Jungian psychology, is that his soul is not just encountering a woman. It is having a direct and often terrifying encounter with a goddess archetype. Carl Jung gave us the map of the psyche. He taught us that our souls are not blank slates, but are filled with ancient universal patterns of energy he called archetypes. For a man, the primary journey is the quest to understand and integrate his own inner feminine, the anima. But other brilliant psychologists like John Shinoda Bolen expanded on this, giving us the names and the stories of the powerful figures who live within that archetypal feminine world. In her groundbreaking work, Goddesses in Every Woman, Bolen explained that the ancient Greek goddesses are not just myths. They are living, breathing blueprints of feminine power that reside within every woman. The woman who is still a good girl is often living as only one socially acceptable archetype, perhaps Hestia, the gentle keeper of the home, or Demeter, the selfless nurturer. But the woman of embodied divinity is different. She has done the courageous inner work to awaken and integrate the full spectrum of the goddesses within her. She is a symphony of archetypes. When she embodies her shadow and her sacred no, she is channeling the fierce independence of Artemis, the huntress, who belongs to no man and whose boundaries are absolute. When she descends into her own pain and transforms it into wisdom, she is embodying Persephone, the queen of the underworld, who is not afraid of the dark. When she embodies her body and her sovereign sensuality, she is channeling Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, and pleasure, who owns her desirability for her own sake, not for a man's approval. When she embodies her soul and her unshakable purpose, she is channeling Athena, the goddess of wisdom and strategy, a woman whose focus is on her own mission in the world. And when she embodies her light, her capacity for fierce and discerning love, she is channeling the royal power of Hera, the queen. So when a man comes into the presence of this woman, his ego, his conscious mind, is completely out of its depth. His ego is trained to interact with other personalities, other egos. It knows how to charm, how to negotiate, how to impress, how to play the games of attraction. But his ego does not know how to interact with a goddess. His soul, on the other hand, recognizes her instantly. It is not seeing a personality. It is seeing the raw, divine, and multifaceted face of the feminine itself. It is seeing the untamed wilderness of Artemis, the intoxicating beauty of Aphrodite, the formidable wisdom of Athena, and the deep shadow power of Persephone. He is in the presence of a force of nature, and this is the secret of why he falls to his knees. It is not an act of submission to her. It is his ego's involuntary, instinctual act of reverence in the face of the divine. It is the same feeling a person has when they stand at the edge of the Grand Canyon for the first time, or when they look up at a sky filled with 1 billion stars. It is a moment of profound awe, a moment where the small, controlling ego is humbled by the presence of something vast, ancient, and sacred. His ego recognizes that it cannot control this woman. It cannot possess her. It cannot win her. It can only stand in her presence and be transformed by it. And that is the very definition of devotion. So why do so few women embody this quality of embodied divinity? It is because from a very young age, we are taught to pursue a much different and ultimately a much weaker form of power. This is the great and common mistake, the path that leads to being liked but never revered. It is the path of the good girl's performance. The performer is a woman who has learned that her value is not inherent, but is something that must be earned through a flawless presentation. She is an actress on the stage of a man's desire, and her entire being is oriented toward winning his applause. She studies her lines, she perfects her costume, and she constantly monitors his face for a sign that her performance is a success. Her kindness is a performance. Her charm is a performance. Even her vulnerability is a performance, a carefully curated scene designed to elicit a specific emotional response. This performance is a constant and exhausting offering to his ego. Every action she takes is a subtle question. Did you like that? Was that good? Am I enough for you? She is not a sovereign ruler of her own kingdom. She is a court jester, desperately trying to entertain the king, hoping he will be pleased enough to keep her around. A man's ego may enjoy this performance. It is flattering. It is easy. It requires nothing of him. He is the judge and she is the contestant. He may be entertained by the show, but he will never, on a soul level, revere the actress. The woman of embodied divinity is not an actress. She is not on a stage. She is not performing. She is simply and profoundly present. This is the difference between performance and presence. Performance comes from a place of lack. It is a broadcast of the question, am I enough? Presence comes from a place of fullness. It is a quiet, unshakable declaration of the statement, I am. The woman who is in her presence is not an offering to his ego. She is the altar. She is not a jester seeking to entertain the king. She is a queen so completely and confidently on her own throne that the king is invited to become a visitor in her court. What does this look like in practice? In conversation, the performer asks questions designed to impress him or to steer the conversation in a way she thinks he will like. The woman of presence speaks her truth, and she is not afraid of the silences, because her self-worth is not validated by his constant engagement. In affection, the performer gives a hug or a touch as a down payment, a subtle transaction with the hope of receiving affection in return. The woman of presence gives affection as a pure, unattached overflow of the warmth that already exists within her, with no expectation of it being returned. In her appearance, the performer adorns herself as a costume for his gaze. The woman of presence adorns herself as a ceremony for her own pleasure. A man feels this difference on a cellular level. In the company of the performer, he feels like a critic. He is constantly being asked to judge, to approve, to validate. It is an exhausting, low-stakes game for his ego. In the company of the woman of presence, he is not a critic, he is a witness. He is in the presence of a reality so authentic, so self-contained and so powerful that he is not invited to judge it, but simply to be in awe of it. This is the shift. You cannot be both the performer and the altar. You cannot be both the jester and the queen. The moment you stop performing for his love is the moment you become a presence worthy of his devotion. This state of embodied divinity, of profound presence, is not a magical gift bestowed upon a select few. It is the natural result of a deep and consistent inner practice. It is the work of a woman who has decided to stop being a scattered, fragmented personality and to start becoming a dense, powerful, and unshakable presence. This is the sovereign practice of cultivating energetic density. Think of the difference between steam and a diamond. Steam is diffuse, scattered, and has very little impact. A diamond is a collection of the very same carbon atoms, but they have been subjected to immense pressure and heat, forged into a state of incredible density, coherence, and brilliance. The woman of presence has learned how to apply a loving, conscious pressure to her own being, transforming the scattered steam of her persona into the diamond of herself. This practice has 3 pillars. Pillar number 1. Befriend your body, the temple. The first practice is to end the war with your own physical form. A woman who is not at home in her body is a ghost, haunting a house she does not own. To cultivate energetic density, you must learn to fully inhabit your physical temple. This is the practice of sensual presence. It is the conscious choice to experience your life through your five senses. When you eat, you do not just consume fuel, you savor the taste. When you walk, you do not just move from one place to another. You feel the solid ground beneath your feet. You must begin to treat your body not as an object to be judged in the mirror, but as a sacred vessel of sensation. This is the practice of the wild woman. Take a bath not to get clean, but to feel the warmth of the water on your skin. Listen to a piece of music, not as background noise, but as a vibration that you can feel in your very bones. By doing this, you are pulling your scattered energy out of the past and future and anchoring it in the powerful, dense reality of the present moment. Pillar number 2. Integrate your shadow, the underworld. The second practice is the courageous journey into your own inner darkness. As we have discussed, a woman who is only light is half a woman. Her energy is thin, brittle, and lacks true power. To increase your energetic density, you must integrate the weight and the wisdom of your shadow. This is the work of our dark feminine exploration. This is the practice of owning your sacred no as a complete sentence. It is the practice of allowing your anger to be a sacred messenger, showing you where your boundaries have been crossed. It is the practice of choosing the solid food of self-respect over the sugary dessert of being liked. Each time you honor your shadow, each time you refuse to be only the good girl, you are adding a profound depth and a formidable weight to your presence. You are no longer a sunlit field, you are becoming the entire earth with its rich, dark soil and its powerful molten core. Pillar number 3. Commit to a purpose, the throne. The third practice is to find a why that is bigger than any single relationship. This is the act of building your own throne. Your purpose is the anchor that holds you steady in the chaotic storms of life and love. It can be your career, your art, your spiritual path, your service to the world. It is the sacred work that is yours and yours alone. A woman whose entire purpose is a man is a woman whose kingdom has no center. She is a moon and her entire existence is defined by her orbit around him. A woman with a purpose is a sun. She has her own fire, her own light, her own gravitational pull. Her relationships do not define her. They are planets that are drawn into the orbit of her magnificent self-sustaining fire. When you dedicate yourself to your own purpose, you are telling the universe and your own soul that your life is not a waiting room. It is a throne room, and you are the queen. These three practices, inhabiting your body, integrating your shadow, and committing to your purpose, are the conscious pressures that forge the diamond of your being. They are the alchemy that transforms a scattered presence into a woman of profound and unshakable energetic density. When a man, who is accustomed to the predictable dynamics of modern dating, comes into the presence of a woman of such profound energetic density, a woman who has become a temple, who has integrated her shadow, who is anchored in her own purpose, his entire world is turned upside down. The old rules no longer apply. The games his ego has learned to play so well are suddenly and completely useless. And in this moment of profound disruption, his soul is faced with a choice. A man's ego, in its interactions with the feminine, has a toolkit. It has the tool of validation, which it can give or withhold to control her emotional state. It has the tool of the chase, where it can retreat and enjoy being pursued. It has the tool of being the prize, the one whose approval is the ultimate goal. But against the woman of embodied divinity, these tools are like keys to a house that has no locks. He cannot use validation to control her because she is the source of her own applause. He cannot make her chase him because she is a sun, not a planet, and her orbit is around her own center. He cannot be the prize because she has already declared her own life, her own peace, to be the ultimate prize. His entire strategy for relating to the feminine collapses. He is faced with a power he cannot conquer, a mystery he cannot solve, and a wholeness he cannot complete. And in this moment, his ego has only two possible reactions. The first is fear. The man whose ego is fragile, who is a prince and not a king, will be terrified. Her power will feel like a threat to his very being. Her self-sufficiency will highlight his own emptiness. He will see her not as an inspiration, but as a judgment, and he will flee. He will call her intimidating or too much, and he will retreat to the safety of a less whole woman, one with whom he can play the old familiar games. And in this, she has received a profound gift, the gift of a swift and efficient filter. But the man of substance, the man who has the makings of a king in his own right, will have a second and far more profound reaction. His ego will also feel the terror, the disorientation. But beneath the ego's fear, his soul, his anima, will feel something else, recognition. It will recognize her not as a threat, but as a homecoming. And this is where the surrender occurs. This is the moment he falls to his knees. It is not a surrender of his power to her. It is the surrender of his own small, controlling ego to the vast, beautiful, and undeniable truth of his own soul. His soul has seen in her a vision of the wholeness it craves for itself. His ego, the small king, finally understands that it is in the presence of a greater force, the force of the sacred, embodied feminine. It is not a defeat. It is an act of profound and humbling awe. It is the moment the warrior puts down his sword, not because he has been beaten, but because he has realized he is standing on holy ground. This is the inevitable result. You do not make him fall to his knees by force. You become a presence so whole, so authentic, and so undeniably real, that his own soul chooses to bow in reverence. He is not surrendering to you, the woman. He is surrendering to the divine truth that you have had the courage to embody. And a man will be eternally devoted to the woman who showed him the path to his own soul's surrender. We began this journey seeking to understand the one quality that inspires not just a man's love, but his profound devotion. We have traveled through the archetypal realms of the psyche. We have contrasted the performance of the good girl with the presence of the queen, and we have learned the three sacred practices that cultivate a state of profound energetic density. And we arrive at this final powerful truth. The one feminine quality that makes a man fall to his knees is embodied divinity. It is the state of a woman who has become so completely, so unapologetically, and so beautifully whole that she ceases to be just a person in his life and becomes a presence in his soul. And here lies the ultimate reframe, the one that will set you free. The secret to making a man fall to his knees is to stop kneeling yourself. It is to rise into the full, magnificent, and sometimes terrifying stature of your own divine feminine power. For years you have been taught to seek his validation, to earn his approval, to perform for his desire. You have been a worshipper at the altar of his attention. The great reversal is the moment you stop being the worshipper and you become the altar itself. You do not seek his devotion. You become so fiercely and so unapologetically devoted to your own sacred essence, to your body, to your shadow, to your purpose, to your soul, that his devotion is simply the natural, inevitable, and almost predictable echo of your own. He does not fall to his knees because of who you are to him. He falls to his knees because of who you have finally and courageously decided to be for yourself.